人体的7个灵力中心，3层次意识3个层次的意识，显意识、潜意识和超意识。还有讲到物质界3维体验，就是时间、空间和耐心等等。但在进入完全了解凯西概念之前呢，有必要先理清这个凯西哲学中的几个根本生活基石就是他自己的世界观了哈，因为他通过解读，慢慢的形成了他自己对这个基督教的理解形成了他自己的世界观。所有皆相互联系，万物。
Real quickly, can we repeat this with your microphones off? Let's read together. All things are interconnected. All things are one.
都是元一。元一这个概念呢，是凯西解读之出发点，万事万物是统一的整体有一次解读，甚至建议那些有兴趣研究灵界法则的人士，先去花6个月的时间理解元宇法则。他认为万物不同外表的后面有同一性，意味着超出光明和黑暗、好与坏、内在和外部世界的区别。在意识的某处所有极致都归于统一凯西的解读在此基础上更进一步。那么凯西认为呢，当我们体验过不同外表后面的同一后，我们的挑战则是回到万物世界面对我们的日常生活，将统一的含义表现在就是我们的所说、所为、所想中。这是他的这个思想的根本就是这是他的最高的知见，他自己的一种形成的一个知见那么呢，由这个知见引发了下面的思想生命是有目的性的。
Let's repeat. Life is purposeful. Life is purposeful.
Life is purposeful.
Life is purposeful.
Life is perfect.
Life is purposeful.
Life is purposeful.
Life is
Life
purposeful.
Life is purposeful.
Thank you. Let's continue.
凯西解读告诉我们，生命有一个中心的目的，作为原创能量的一部分，我们要将灵性生命带入物质世界，使无限进入有限。灵性化并不是简单的脱离物质世界的缠绕，而是向物质世界注入灵的性质这是什么意思呢？就是我们每个生命来到世界都是有目的的那么它这个灵性的生命呢，来到这个物质世界，它必须要有个物质的载体，就是有身体就是所谓的从无限进入有限了。细化到每个人呢，大家均有个人的人生任务，或者成为灵魂的目标这个是在我们的潜意识深处的一些东西我们可能不一定意识得到。每个人生来具有的才能、记忆、天资，使我们为这个世界的存在提供自己的特色。这种特色既能够提高自己的灵力觉醒，同时也为他人提供机会和帮助。凯西在给出生命解读的时候，经常给解读人通过提供个人生活的宗旨来帮助人发现人生的任务就是大部分人现在还没有被发现，就是特别是没有信仰的人没有信仰的人他就没有生命的意义，他就是行尸走肉他完全忘记了他的这个人生的任务 啊，那就是跟动物一样了。那个动物它的这个任务可能就是维持一下生物链嘛，它的任务我估计没有其他的意义了，就是繁衍后代，维持一下生物链。那么如果一个人只是活着，为了活着的话，那他的生命的意义是最低级的一种生命意义。那他的灵魂的目标他忘掉了，那这种生命就是没有意义的生命，几乎啊。因为他自己可能都通过解读，他慢慢的悟到了这些东西。他的见地引申一个，还有一个意思就是他认为人生活之路是快乐的冒险。
Let's repeat. The road of life is
The
a
road of
happy
life
The
is
road
a
of
happy
life.
adventure.
Of life
The road
is
The road
life.
of
Happy
life
adventure.
is a happy adventure. The road of life is a happy adventure.
The road of life is a happy adventure.
Road of life is
Life is a happy adventure.
Okay. Let's continue.
生活应该是对真理的来自灵魂深处的探索。也就是说，他认为人生到了这个世界上来，每个人都应该去做这件事。他命名以他解读为基础的整体疗法医院为凯西探索和领悟医院。他和他的支持者们呢，沿用同样的理念，建立起探索领悟协会。解读反复强调，我们只有通过将思想应用于个人生活中才能够成长。仅靠说什么是无法使人相信的。他的解读经常强调说，人们应该在发现解读信息时对它有用后再相信解读，而这必须是通过个人的研究和应用才知晓。对那些想不通过艰苦的个人实践直接跳到智能和领悟的人，那么这个在催眠中的这个凯西评论说，将车放在马前面的马车是无法工作的，那马肯定是在前面了。他这个意思呢，就是强调呢，就是学习真理就探索真理的话呢，一定要实践通过这个应用，然后呢才能够去相信，就是要实事求是要符合这个真理，就是真理嘛，它就是要经得起考验、经得起验证的东西是这个意思。仅靠说什么是无法使人相信的。赋予同情，免除竞争。没有任何东西比竞争。赋予同情。
Be sympathetic and
Be
avoid
sympathetic
competition.
and avoid competition. Be sympathetic and avoid competition. Be sympathetic and avoid competition.
Be sympathetic and avoid competitive.
免除竞争。
Yeah. Thank you. Let's continue.
没有任何东西比竞争能够更快地将我们从同一和灵魂目的处引向其路。从这个意义上说，竞争并不是指在体育比赛中分数的高低，而是指将自己与他人的比较，并设法超出的心态。这是一种麻痹灵魂成长的状态，是同情的反面。那么这种同情他这里是这么解释的同情不是自上而下的怜悯，也就是说不是一种居高临下的怜悯，而是一种表现在他人面前的所有。
Sympathy is not a condescending mercy, but a mindset that everyone is the same in front of others.
Sympathy is not condescending mercy, but a mindset that everyone is the same in front of others.
It's not a
Others.
condescending,
But a condescending
in front of us.
but mindset that everyone is the same in front of others.
That everyone is the same.
This
Everyone is the same
有
in
人
front
皆
of
一样的
others.
心境。
others.
同情是一种与他人有同样的感觉，并为这种状态的产生觉得有责任。同情同时也是为他人服务的心态并不仅仅是感觉到大家相互关联，而是做一些有帮助的事情。凯西说，获得来到主面前的意识层次的途径，是由你曾经帮助过的人建起的，或有人称为获得深入天堂的途径是由你曾经帮助过的人建起的。对自己负责，没有人能够带你。
Take responsibility for yourself.
Take responsibility for yourself.
for yourself.
Solve your problem for you.
For yourself.
Of course, you
Take
can seek
responsibility for yourself.
We can
Thank you.
problem for you. Of course, we
你
can
解决
seek
你自己的问题。当然，我们可以寻求帮助，但根本来说，每个灵魂应该对自己负责任，必须用自己的自由意志去选择和提高。这个自我负责的原则，即是凯西整体疗法的基础，也是凯西灵性发展理论的中心。基督是路，是榜样，循着基督之路就能得救。在凯西的那个时代呢，这种信息与众人的认识完全不合。指责别人是我们不幸的原因，指责别人常常是我们的自然选择。事实上，一个人需要很高的成熟度，才能看明白自己如何创造了自己的困境。解读说，大家太习惯于把时间和精力浪费在指责别人上了，包括对父母的、政府的、家庭成员，还有同事、路人。最好的方法是为自己的生活负起责任，发现内部和外部的可用资源去解决问题。这是痛苦的价值所在，寻找和发现回归之路。1901年他是24岁了第一次的灵异解读是为自己的喉部毛病而做的。那么一直到1923年，轮回转世的概念呢，才由一位俄亥俄州的印刷商人的解读而被推出了前台。有趣的是，经过仔细研读凯西的解读，这一概念早在1911年的时候呢，就解读的时候就提出过，但凯西和他周围的人对轮回转世根本没有认识，所以也没有人在意。自1923年后呢，解读从身体解读扩展到生命解读。到了1945年的时候，凯西共给出了有关2000个生命解读，这样我们有了较丰富的信息和资料来讲述东方的观念，就是轮回转世。就是我们每个人通过一系列的人生经历和体验，以达到灵魂的发展和完善。凯西的解读并没有给我们以任何人和动物之间的转世，这一点与佛教的观点不一样。解读说人的灵魂自始至终进入人类的躯体。解读中有一个基本的概念需要认同的是，我们每个人并不是指我们的这个物质世界的身体， 甚至不是这个身体有一个灵魂，而是我们有着不灭的灵性，是原创能量的一部分，在这个三维空间和时间里使用这个身体去经历、去学习，以使我们每个个体完成以原创能量合一的需要和目的。作为灵魂我们来到这里，利用这个身体去认识我们的本有的灵性，完善自己。从解读的观点来看，我们每个人不是被动的照着写好的剧本扮演角色，但实际上呢，我们都主动积极参与我们的每一个生命历程，而这一历程呢，是由报应、自由意志、宿命和恩典交织而成。所谓报应呢，就是指因果规律自由意志呢，就是我们每个人本有的灵性。宿命呢，就是过去时积累下来的习性种子。恩典就是父神派遣主基督救赎我们的生命指南。好，我们今天呢就讲到这里
Let's recap. So I'll repeat again. This time will be different. Everyone mute their microphones. I'll read and you read after me. Okay. I'll start. No matter
No matter how many reading.
So we're gonna have everybody this time mute their microphone and then read after me. And then at the
Okay.
end we can have you can share your thoughts for a short time.
Okay.
No matter
No matter how many
she had made,
she had made,
Kayance never thought he had any
never thought
superpower.
he had any superpower.
I don't think anyone can't have these abilities.
Hold on. So I'm going to read. Everybody mutes their mic and everyone reads after me. Okay. I don't know if everyone understands. Okay, let's start. No matter how many readings she had made, Kayance never thought he had any superpower. He said, I don't think anyone can't have these abilities. The fact is that our ability is far greater than what we can imagine. But you have to get rid of the attachment to self-interest to have that ability. Kayance's work and experience can be said to help Westerners open their eyes based on his faith in God throughout his life. He combined the Bible with his own reading experience. His realization has gone beyond the common understanding of Christianity without any contradiction. Westerners are also doing a lot of research on reincarnated human beings. In the near future, scientists will announce to the world that humans have souls after death and can be reincarnated. Through his readings, he gradually formed his own understanding of Christianity and formed his own worldview. All things are interconnected, all things are one. Life is purposeful. The road to life is a happy adventure. Be sympathetic and avoid competition. Take responsibility for yourself. In fact, we are actively participating in each of our life journeys, and this journey is mixed with karma, free will, destiny, and grace. Karma, laws of cause and effect. Free will is our innate spirituality. Destiny is the habitual seeds accumulated in past lives. Grace is the life guide that God, the Father, sent to us. We're gonna have a quick, everyone can unmute their mics and we can talk about it for about 1 minute. Anyone have any short thoughts? Anyone want to share their opinion? Just unmute your mic. If not, we can proceed.
I'm just gonna say one thing if it's okay.
Yes.
The part basically finding everyone's spiritual purpose. I think
Yeah.
that can be tremendously impactful if we follow that in our day-to-day life, thinking with that continually, no matter who we're talking to.
Thank you. Yes. It takes some bravery. Don't you think? Thank you, Vern. Anyone else have anything to share?
I can share taking self-responsibility, and it needs high maturity to find out that I have created the situations around me. I think that's very powerful.
Yes, definitely. That's indeed taking responsibility. Thank you very much. One or two more and we can proceed. Okay. Without further ado, we can proceed.
Can I ask one question before we go? The video said we have three experiences, or the time, the space, and I lost the third one. I didn't understand.
I think that's mistranslated. It's supposed to be like a biting. It says
Binding.
patience, but maybe it's not the right word used.
Because I lost that part. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check with our team
Yeah.
to ask about that. Thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you.
Let's all continue. Then I'll read and everyone reads to themselves. And then at the end, we'll do the same thing. All right. Okay, let's continue. Now the book of living and dying. In the mirror of death. My own first experience of death came when I was about 7. We were preparing to leave the Eastern Highlands to travel to central Tibet. Samten, one of the personal attendants of my master, was a powerful monk who was kind to me during my childhood. He had a bright, round, chubby face, always ready to break into a smile. He was everyone's favorite in the monastery because he was good-natured. Every day, my master would give teachings and initiations and lead practices and rituals. Every day, my master would give teachings and initiations to lead practices and rituals. Towards the end of the day, I would gather together my friends and act out a little theatrical performance, reenacting the morning's events. It was Samson who would always lend me the costumes my master had worn in the morning. He never refused me. Then suddenly, Samson fell ill. It was clear that he was not going to live. We had to postpone our departure. I will never forget the 2 weeks that followed. The rank smell of death hung like a cloud over everything. And whenever I think of that time, that smell comes back to me. The monastery was saturated with an intense awareness of death. This was not at all morbid or frightening. However, in the presence of my master, Samson's death took a special significance. It became a teaching for all of us. Samson lay on a bed by the window in a small temple in my master's residence. I knew he was dying. From time to time, I would go in and sit by him. He could not talk. I was shocked by the change in his face, which was now so haggard down and drawn. Samson lay on a bed by the window in a small temple in my master's residence. I knew he was dying. From time to time, I would go in and sit by him. He could not talk. I was shocked by the change in his face, which was now so haggard down and drawn. I realized that he was going to leave us and we would never see him again. I felt intensely sad and lonely. Samson's death was not an easy one. The sound of his labored breathing followed us everywhere, and we could smell his body decay. The monastery was overwhelmingly silent, except for his breathing. Everything focused on Samson. Yet, although there was so much suffering in Samson's prolonged dying, we could all see that deep down he had a peace and inner confidence about him. At first, I could not explain this, but when I realized what it came from, his faith, his training, and the presence of our master. And although I felt sad, I knew that if our master was there, everything would turn out all right because he would be able to help Samson towards liberation. Later, I came to know that it is the dream of any practitioner to die before his master and have the good fortune to be guided by him through death. As Jamyang Khyentse guided Samson calmly through his dying, he introduced him all the stages of the process he was going through. one by one. I was astonished by the precision of my master's knowledge and by his confidence and peace. When my master was there, his peaceful confidence would reassure even the most anxious person. Now, Jamyong Kinsei was revealing to us his fearlessness of death. Not that he ever treated death lightly. He often told us that he was afraid of it and warned us against taking it naively or complacently. Yet, what was it that allowed my master to face death in a way that was at once so sober and so lighthearted, so practical, yet so mysteriously carefree? That question fascinated and absorbed me. But I would always want to be there next to him. And he was happy to have me with him. Samton's death shook me. At the age of 7, I had my first glimpse of the vast power of the tradition I was being made a part of. I began to understand the purpose of spiritual practice. Practice had given Samton an acceptance of death, as well as a clear understanding that suffering and pain can be a part of a deep, natural process of purification. Practice had given my master a complete knowledge of what death is, a precise technology for guiding individuals through it. After Samton died, we set off for Lhasa, the capital of Tibet, a torturous 3-month journey on horseback. Then one day, without my knowledge, my tutor pleaded with him, explaining that for my own benefit, this could not go on. The next time, I fled to hide. My teacher came into the room, did 3 prostrations to my master, and dragged me out. I remember thinking, as I was hauled out of the room, how strange it was that he did not seem to be afraid of my master. Jamyong Kinsei used to live in the room where his previous incarnation had seen his visions and launched the renaissance of culture and spirituality that swept through Eastern Tibet in the last century. From there, we continued our pilgrimage to the sacred sites of Central and Southern Tibet. These are the holy places of the saints, kings, and scholars who brought Buddhism to Tibet from the 7th century onward. My master was the emancipation of many masters of all traditions. And because of his reputation, he was given tumultuous reception everywhere we went. For me, that journey was extremely exciting and has remained full of beautiful memories. Tibetans rise early in order to make use of all the natural light. We would go to bed at dusk and rise before daybreak. By first light, the yaks carrying the baggage would be moving out. The tents would be struck, and the last ones to come down were the kitchen and my master's tent. A scout would go ahead to choose a good camping place, and we would stop and camp around noon for the rest of the day. I used to love to camp by the river and listen to the sound of the water, or to sit in the tent and hear the rain pattering on the roof. We were a small party, about 30 tents in all. During the day, I rode on a golden colored horse next to my master. While we rode, he gave teachings, told stories, practiced, and composed a number of practices, especially for me. One day, as we drew near the sacred lake of Yamdrok and caught a sight of the turquoise radiance of its waters, another Lama in our party, Lama Sinten, began to die. The death of Lama Sinten provided a strong teaching for me. He was the tutor to my master's spiritual wife, Kandrok Saring Chodron, who is still alive today. She is regarded by many as Tibet's foremost women practitioners. A hidden master who for me is an embodiment of devotion, teaching through the simplicity of her loving presence. Lama Sinten was an immensely human and grandfatherly character. He was over 60, quite tall with gray hair, exuded an effortless gentleness. He was also a highly accomplished practitioner of meditation. And just to be near him used to give me a sense of peace and serenity. Sometimes he would scold me. I would be afraid of him. But for all his occasional sternness, he never lost his warmth. Lama Sinten died in an extraordinary way. Although there was a monastery close by, he refused to go there, saying he did not want to leave a corpse for them to clear up. So we camped and pitched tents in a circle as usual. Kandrok was nursing and caring for Lama Sinten. He was her tutor. She and I were the only two people in his tent when he suddenly called over. He had an endearing way of calling her Ami, meaning my child, in his local dialect. Ami, he said tenderly, come here. It's happening now. I have no further advice for you. You are fine as you are. I'm happy with you. Serve your master just as you have been doing. Immediately, he turned to run out of the tent, but he caught her by the sleeve. Where are you going? He asked. I'm going to call Rinpoche, she replied. Don't bother him. There's no need. He smiled. With the master, there's no such thing as distance. With that, he just gazed up into the sky and passed away. Kendra released herself from his grip and rushed out to call my master. I sat there unable to move. I was amazed that anyone who was staring into the face of death could have that kind of confidence. Lama Sinten could have had his Lama there in person to help him, something someone else would have longed for, but he had no need. I understand why now. He had already realized the presence of the master within himself. Jamyang Kinze was there with him always, in his mind and heart. Never for one moment did he have any separation. Kandrok did go to fetch Jamyang Kinze. I shall never forget how he stooped to enter the tent. He gave one look at Lama Sinsen's face and then peered into his eyes, began to chuckle. He always used to call him Lagin, old Lama. It was a sign of his affection. Lagin, he said, don't stay in that state. He could see, I now understand that Lama Sinten was doing one particular practice of meditation in which the practitioner merges the nature of his mind with the space of truth and can remain in that state for many days as he dies. Lagin, we are travelers. We're pilgrims. We don't have time to wait that long. Come on. I'll guide you. Transfixed, I watched what happens next. And if I hadn't seen it myself, I would never have believed it. Lama Sinten came back to life. Then my master sat by his side and took him through the Pohwa. The practice for guiding the consciousness at the moment before death. And there are many ways of doing this practice. And the one he used then culminated with the master uttering the symbol Ah 3 times. As my master declared the first Ah, we heard Lama Sinten accompany him quite audibly. The second time, his voice less distinct. The third time was silent. He had gone. The death of Samten taught me the purpose of spiritual practice. Lama Sinten's death taught me that it is not unusual for practitioners of his caliber to conceal their remarkable qualities during their lifetime. Sometimes, they show them only once at the moment of death. And I realized that it was the difference between the death of a good monk who had practice in his life and that of a much more realized practitioner. Samden died in an ordinary way and in pain, yet with the confidence of faith. Lama Sinten's death was a display of spiritual mastery. Soon after Lama Sinten's funeral, we moved up into the monastery of Yamdruk. As usual, I slept next to my master in his room, and I remember that night watching the shadows of the butter lamps flickering on the wall. While everyone was sound asleep, I lay awake and cried the whole night. I understood that night that death is real and that I too would have to die. As I lay there thinking about death and my own death, all my sadness, a profound sense of acceptance slowly emerged. And with it, a resolve to dedicate my life to spiritual practice. So I began to face death and its implications very young. I could never have imagined then how many kinds of death there were to follow, one heaped upon another. The death that was tragic, the loss of my country, Tibet, after the Chinese occupation. The death is exile. The death that is exile. The death of losing everything my family and I possessed. My family, Lakar Sang, had been among the wealthiest in Tibet. Since the 14th century, it had been famous as one of the most important benefactors of Buddhism. Supporting and teaching of Buddha and helping the great masters with their work. The most shattering death of all was yet to come, that of my master, Jamyang Kinsey. Losing him, I felt that I lost the ground of my existence. It was in 1959, the year of the fall of Tibet. For Tibetans, my master's death was a second devastating blow. And for Tibet, it marked an end of an era. We're going to now move forward with the synopsis and afterwards have a sharing. Samten fell ill. It was clear that he was not going to live. We had to postpone our departure. I will never forget the 2 weeks that followed. The rank smell of death hung like a cloud over everything. And whenever I think of that time, that smell comes back to me. The monastery was saturated with an intense awareness of death. This was not at all morbid or frightening. However, in the presence of my master, Samten's death took a special significance. It became a teaching for all of us. And though I felt sad, I knew that if our master was there, everything would turn out all right because he would be able to help Samten towards liberation. There I came to know that it is the dream of any practitioner to die before his master and have the good fortune to be guided by him through death. Samten's death shook me At the age of 7, I had my first glimpse of the vast power of the tradition I was being made a part of, and I began to understand the purpose of spiritual practice. Practice had given Samson an acceptance of death, as well as a clear understanding that suffering and pain can be part of a deep natural process of purification. Practice had given my master a complete knowledge of what death is and a precise technology for guiding individuals through it. And precise, sorry. Lama Sinten died in an extraordinary way. Although there was a monastery close by, he refused to go there, saying he did not want to leave a corpse for them to clear up. Lama Sinten could have had his Lama there in person to help him, something anyone else would have longed for. But he had no need. I understand why now. He had already realized the presence of the master within himself. Jamyang Kinsey was there with him always, in his mind and heart. Never for one moment did he feel any separation. The death of Samson taught me the purpose of spiritual practice. Lama Sinten's death taught me that it is not unusual for practitioners of his caliber to conceal their remarkable qualities during their lifetime. Sometimes, in fact, they show them only once at the moment of death. I understood even as a child, there was a striking difference between the death of Santon and that of Lama Sinten. And I realized that it was the difference between the death of a good monk who had practice in his life and that of a much more realized practitioner. Samton died in an ordinary way and in pain. Yet, with the confidence of faith, Lama Sinten's death was a display of spiritual mastery. Uh, Everyone can unmute their mics, share your opinions about the book, the excerpts, and the execution.
Can I ask a question if I'm allowed to ask?
Yes.
Yeah. Like it said at one point, he did not wanted to leave a corpse for them to clear up. So any guidance you would have on that when the statement is made there? Like normally the corpse will be left once the spirit is gone out of the body. So, but when the master is doing the enlightenment, is it something different happening to the corpse or there's no more corpse?
Jikong, would you like to elaborate?
Maybe you could go back to the reading session. And let her find out which part she was talking about.
Like they guided him to go to the monastery, but he said no, because he had felt the master is within him.
Mm-hmm.
And then because he's realized master is here, this is the point, okay? Was a monastery close by, but he refused to go there, saying he did not want to leave a corpse for them to clear up. So we camped and pitched up tenants in a circle as usual.
Yeah, I know in Tibetan traditions they leave the corpse normally. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I
Bodhi,
think,
Master
yeah, I
Bodhi.
think, yes, I think Lama Center, he has the ability to deal with his death. So he just think for him, the body is just like a corpse after death. So he has the ability to deal with his consciousness and deal with his battle. So he said he didn't want to leave a corpse for him to clear up because that is no. I think most of the people need help. Maybe need help to know how to come over to liberation his body and his consciousness. But for him, because he's a professional practitioner, he has the ability to deal with that. I think.
Yeah, I think it makes a little bit more clarity because as he found the master within him, so he had no need for him to go to another place and he could deal. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you so much.
Just one last thing on that. The first monk, there was a stench of death for weeks. But with this fellow, Lama Tenzing, there was no smell. There was none of the same signs. So that's part of the reason as well.
Ah,
Mhm.
got it.
He's a good practitioner. He's
Mhm.
very confident about his afterlife or enlightenment.
The reason I ask this question, because we have read in some of the scriptures somewhere, there have been some saints and sages. They are at the time of death, they are found, no, the corpse is no more found, and we just find like a bed of flowers.
Mhm.
This I've read in some of the books which we follow as well. So I was wondering, is there something similar happening in this case? That's what my theory, but anyway, thank you so much. Yeah, but that was also a good point. There's no smell in this, in the other one, there was sense of the smell of death. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question.
And also, is there any possibility for that? I had raised the question about the experiences, like a time, space, and the third one I just missed out.
Are you in the group, in the chatting group? Maybe you can find out and send to the group later.
I'm not in the group. Nobody has given me that group yet.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
I can add you into the group.
Okay.
Can you give me your WeChat ID?
Yes, I will.
You can just send in a chatting group. I mean,
I don't even have your email because I was wondering today is this the same Zoom link? So what is
because like we're chatting already in the Zoom. Have you found the place?
here in this? This.
Yes.
Okay, understand.
Mhm.
Because I'm not really much with computers.
No worries.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So maybe
Okay, you can type there and send to me.
Understood now. I'm very slow to process this media and everything, so please apologize, and I'm taking.
No problem.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because no, able to do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
No. I'll just put my Hong Kong number. Is it okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I'll just send it. Thank you so much for the patience.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Yeah, somebody's already written time, the space, and spirituality.
Have you on WhatsApp?
Yeah, you can send me on the WhatsApp. Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
So with this last synopsis, if we don't have anything else to say, we can take turns and read. Whoever wants to read part one can go ahead.
Samson fell ill, and it was clear he was not going to live. We had to postpone our
用
departure.
失眠条了。
哦
什么？这个失
I
眠
will never
可以
forget
呀、
the
可以的
weeks。
今
follow.
天没吗？
The rain smell of death hung like a cloud over everything. And whenever I think of that time, the smell comes back to me. The monastery was saturated with an intense awareness of death. This was not at all morbid or frightening. However, in the presence of my master, Santa's death took on a special significance. It became a teaching for us all. Pass.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Who can read next?
I can. And though I felt sad, I knew then that if our master was there, everything would turn out all right, because he would be able to help Samson toward liberation. Later, I came to know that it is the dream of any practitioner to die before his master and have the good fortune to be guided by him through death. Over. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Number 3.
Samson's death shook me. At the age of 7, I had my first glimpse of the vast power of the tradition I was being made part of, and I began to understand the purpose of spiritual practice. Practice had given Samson an acceptance of death, as well as a clear understanding that suffering and pain can be part of a deep, natural process of purification. Practice had given my master a complete knowledge of what death is, and a precise technology for guiding individuals through it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Number 4, who can read?
Okay, Lama Samten died in extraordinary way. Although there was a monastery close by, he refused to go there, saying he did not want to leave a corpse for them to clear up.
Great. Number 5.
Nama test would have had his Nama. There is person to help him. Something everyone else would have longed for, but had no need. I understanding why now. He had always realized the person of the master within himself. Jin Yang Kentrus was there with him always, in his mind and heart. Never for one most moment did he feel any sufficient.
Separation. Separation. Thank you very much. Who would like to read the last part?
I
The
will
death
read.
of the. Sorry, go on.
The death of Samson taught me the purpose of spiritual practice. Lama Tsaten's death taught me that it is not unusual for practitioners of this caliber to conceal their remarkable qualities during their lifetime. Sometimes, in fact, they show them only once, at the moment of death.
Oh,
I understood.
thank you. Can anyone finish who has not read? Because we want to give everyone a chance to. But thank you, Moses, for your.
I understood, even as a child, that there was a striking difference between the death of Samson and that of Lama Senten. And I realized that it was the difference between the death of a good monk who had practiced in his life and that of a much more realized practitioner. Samson died in an ordinary way and in pain, yet with the confidence of faith. Lama Senten's death was a display of spiritual mastery.
Thank you. Normally at the end we dedicate what we've learned, everything, to hopefully reach everybody else as our wish. Can we all say this together with palms together? Manjushri has wisdom,
Manjushri has wisdom,
courage and bravery.
courage,
Sadamatahara.
Samathabhada's conduct and wisdom are similar.
I'm transferring.
I am now transferring all the good merits to follow in practice and study
Three times.
in all 3 time periods. Please join us next time, July 8th, for our next event. Thank you, everyone. I hope everyone got the time before. Always happy to see you guys and be with you guys. Have a good rest of the night. If you're in the West, good morning. Good evening. Take care, everyone.
Yes, July 15th. Next one.
July 15th. Yes, July 15th.
All
些有兴趣研究，这是他的这个思想归于统一理解原因或基石，都在研究轮回的存在，而又不与之，而真正的事实。